Folks, it's been an interesting couple of days, and never in my wildest dreams in my career that I would imagine the biggest nuclear bomb in terms of college sports dropped on Twitter would happen when I was not at home for most of the day. But it's Friday, TGIF edition of the show. Welcome into the hottest ticket here for your Crimson Tide. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Whether you're listening by your TV, your computer, your iPhone, your iPad, your tablet, whatever device you got, you're tuning in to the best way to get that Bama information. We're bringing you the show from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming this to you on YouTube. And speaking of the channel, y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what to do. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe right now. Show that love, that support, that swagger, that flavor to your program, giving you your inside analysis, conversation, entertainment. That being right here, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Be sure to also turn all those post notifications on. Hit that little bell so that way you miss absolutely nothing on your Crimson Tide. Got you covered also on Facebook and Twitter as well. And boy, we got a barn burner of a show. Two bickering brothers, Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher. Woo, Jesus, going at it the last 2 days, or basically 2 days now. And I was out of pocket for much of Thursday, but I got the gist of everything that happened and what went on. So we'll spend quite the amount of time on that. Was Saban in the wrong about what he said? Did Jimbo Fisher go way over the top at his press conference? What in the world are we going to do about this whole thing called NIL? We'll touch on that. And then what was lost in the whole scuffle was Jordan Addison, the elite transfer wide receiver from Pittsburgh, actually made his transfer choice, that being one USC. We'll talk about that also. We got two outstanding guests, Brad Edwards, former ESPN analyst and the author of Dynasty by the Numbers, breaking down Alabama's national championship run under Coach Saban. He's coming on the show. And then also my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, coming on as well. Want to hear from you guys tonight, 205-448-1358. Blow them phone lines up. Want to hear from you guys, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. That daily super chat goal, $75. You guys are already taking care of that right now. Jimmy the Bad Man, Cash Money Bucket Clay with that $75 donation. Appreciate Jimmy. We got Lucian with that $10 donation. Appreciate him. And we got my man Big Bill. Bill from New York, a $10 donation. Appreciate Bill. And we got one more. We got Maria Helm with that $5 donation. Appreciate Maria right there. And then we got Jamie Wilhelm with that $4.99. We hit that daily super chat goal before the show even started. But without further ado, we dive into the first topic here of conversation. And John, like I mentioned, never in my wildest dreams did I think that the biggest bomb placed on Twitter for college football would happen when I'm not at home. I mean, I spent about 70 to 80% of a day speaking to several different children at the Rutledge Middle School in Midfield, part of the Birmingham area. Really enjoyed that. But if you've been under a rock these last couple of days, here's what's going on. On Wednesday evening, Coach Saban was at an event, the 50-day countdown to the World Games in Birmingham, and he was speaking to a panel, a group of boosters. This was not a heavily media publicized event, so Saban kind of thought, hey, I can let my hair down, get into the nitty-gritty of what I truly feel like the current climate of this NIL culture is. But little did he know, or probably all that he knew, what he said would get on social media and create this huge kind of firestorm here. Now, what he said in context was not wrong. We live in a day and age, John, where two things. People don't like to read, and people listen to what they want to listen to, right? So in the context of what Nick Saban said, in his 7-minute clip there, he was basically talking about how NIL originally was supposed to be used for players that are already in your program, already being developed, already right there, and then they can go to these third-party collectives, businesses, foundations, organizations to get that compensation for their likeness. And Saban's always been one cool with NIL. It's as long as you don't have people unethically stepping over the boundary to sort of get that done. That's always been his main thing. It's cool to play players. It's cool to have players being compensated for their likeness, but make sure this is handled and done properly and appropriately. And, for Saban, NIL originally was supposed to be used for, like I said, those players that are already in the program, but we're seeing how NIL being used to sort of lure, entice 17, 18-year-olds who have never even been to your program, who have never played a down, who've never enrolled at your program. And now it's becoming, when I come here, when I visit, how much am I going to get at NIL? How much you going to pay me? Somebody else pays me more. Can you match it? It's becoming this foundational financial thing. And Saban never intended for it to be that. So that was just the conversation and trying to get the model of NIL fixed. Now, towards the end of the conversation, this is where Saban said, the statement of, we had the number 2 recruiting class, we being Alabama. Texas A&M had the number 1 class. Texas A&M bought every player they had in that class. We didn't buy a single player. And people took that one sentence and was printing stories out the bakery, ran wild with that one sentence. Now, to me, was Saban wrong with what he said? Essentially, no, because I've always been one to say this. You can be at the right church, just sitting at the wrong pew. And what that would mean is you could say the right things, but you could pick possibly the wrong moment or present it in a way that could have been a bit better than how you presented it. Case in point, he didn't have to call out Deion Sanders, head coach Deion Coach Prime Sanders in Jackson State and all of this. Now, that's where an apology should be made, because what Jackson State's got going on, we all know Alabama, way bigger program than Jackson State. So if Jackson State is having success with, NIL, you don't touch that. You don't bother that. You let Coach Prime build his program, his organization, and especially with you being Coach Saban, he's Coach Prime, you got the whole Aflac commercial thing going here. You let that alone. So that's the one part where I would say Coach Saban would owe that apology to is Coach Prime. But in the case of Jimbo Fisher, I don't think an apology is needed there, because we've all seen the rumors. We've all seen the reports of, A&M taking, money for NIL and bringing in the number 1 class for 2022. And we've seen these rumors. We've seen these reports flying around, since the signing period, since the cycle happened and it took place. And for me, the most craziest part of all of this, John, was Jimbo Fisher's press conference that happened at 10 o'clock on Thursday morning. And for 10 minutes, he's calling Saban narcissist. What he's doing is despicable. Y'all trying to make him the god of football, the czar, digging his past. Dig what he's doing. Dig into his program. Really just throwing haymakers there at Coach Saban. Normally, you see coaches kind of keep things reserved. Coaches kind of keep things close to the vest. But both of the gloves came off here for Jimbo. And for me, it all goes back to that old statement, a hit dog holler. Only a hit dog holler. And what that means is when you've been hit, when you backed up in the corner, when you feel like you being pressed, you got to come out on the utmost defensive side and deflect the narrative. And this is what Jimbo Fisher's doing. Coming up on the utmost defensive side and deflecting the narrative. Now, if he knows he's running cool, smooth, everything at Texas A&M, you don't say anything. You let this wash over you like water up a duck's back, and you keep it moving. But because he went that hard, that over the top in the press conference, now this brings conversation to what's really going on at A&M, right? Because if he just lets this comment from Saban just wash over him, not pay much attention to it, it all kind of goes off in the wash. But because he expounded, and the way he expounded, going way over the top with it, being way defensive with it, then you're like, okay, what's really happening? What's really going on down there in Aggie land and Aggie Nation? Because Nick Saban never said Jimbo cheated. Nick Saban never said Texas A&M cheated. All Nick Saban said was A&M bought every player they had with the NIL. And when you have a situation where you got third-party collectives, boosters, they're going crazy here with this money, it's no longer on the table. They're out there in your face with it now. I'm just saying. Nick Saban never said Jimbo and Texas A&M cheated. He just said, hey, I'm not feeling what this NIL is doing right now with the current climate of it is. And we've already seen the rumors here leading up to this bubbling point here when it came to Coach Fisher where the class is concerned. So for me, I think the only apology in order for Coach Saban would be to Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. That'd be the only apology needed, because you let Jackson State and Coach Prime, you let them do what they do. You let them be what they be. You don't bring them up in that conversation. You don't bring them up in there. But I think the end-all be-all here, John, is October 8th. If this game was not already circled on your calendar as the game, this little shouts out to Kendrick Lamar and Taylor Swift, this little bad blood we got going on here with Saban and Jimbo Fisher, this has put more wood on the fire. This has added more lighter fluid to the steam that is this football game, that is this matchup. Bryant-Denny Stadium made you have a sellout crowd when you talk about this game right here on October the 8th. But we go to a break right here, folks. Don't touch that dial. Just getting started. Upon our return, we go to you guys. Was Nick Saban wrong with what he said? Did Jimbo Fisher go way over the top in his comments? I mean, what do you think about what's happened in the last couple of days? We talk to you, the fans, after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
9 players have teamed up and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they've put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
All right, folks, we're back into the action here on a Friday TGIF edition of the show. Number one forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Got the man John Ivory in the production studio, and we're going to go to the phone lines right now to grab your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in, 205-448-1358. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Stephen M. This is Robert from Mobile.
Robert, what's happening, man?
I tell you, Jimbo and Nick Saban, they're almost getting into an old school wrestling rant with each other.
I'm just saying, man. WWE, jump off the tightrope.
And Jimbo went way old school back into the 80s wrestling rants with his, narcissist and all that other stuff he was talking. Man, that game between what do they call it? The October hate is what everybody's calling it right now. It's October 8th, October hate. That's what they call it. That's what it's starting to seem like. That's going to be a prime time, a must-see event. October 8th. I can't wait for that game. You're totally right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying, I will be in Bryant-Denny getting the pulse of the fans on both sides, the atmosphere, everything. I'm going to have to make my way in Tuscaloosa early that morning.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of fan reaction on that one. You can best believe that one. But we already had the revenge factor from last year, and now you're inviting this here too? Oh, my goodness. All right, let's get it on. Jimbo overreacted to, it's went way overboard with the narcissism and you're cheating too and all this other stuff he was talking. Like Nick Saban said, when Jimbo made the comment that it was, he was talking about 17-year-olds and putting down 17-year-olds in their family or whatever he thought Nick Saban had said. That you didn't listen to Nick Saban if that's what you thought. You just reacted to something was in your mind, Jimbo. But Nick Saban did not say anything about the kids, about the student athlete, because he wasn't blaming them. And he wasn't even blaming Jimbo. Like you said, he was blaming the system. The problem is the system. He never once said they were cheating. He did rightfully say, Jimbo wants to pretend like his players were not bought. Yes, they were, man. Come on. We all know it. Just don't reference it at all if you don't want the truth to come out about it. We know you don't jump from where you are at Texas A&M to where you were to number one just by your sweet talk to the players. That's not how it happened. So, yeah, there was a name, image, and likeness, money passed to these guys, and it was somehow made known to them that they were going to get this money, and that's why they made the switch. Hey, you took advantage of the system, the rules the way they were. Nick Saban was talking about the rules. And like Deion correctly said, he's talking to his own boosters that, hey, this isn't next week recruiting cycle, we're not going to be able to do it the old way. We may have to, spread a little cheese around too, if what the rules are what they are. So, yeah, if that's what he's saying. Now, like you said earlier, maybe calling out Deion to the degree that he did. Okay, we know Deion did it too. Jack State did it too. But maybe that wasn't, and I'm sure he'll feel free to apologize to Deion. I think he even tried to apologize to Jimbo, but Jimbo wouldn't take his call. But come on, man. We know that that's what you did. This rant you went on of narcissism and all, you had a chance to work for Alabama, but you didn't want to go back. For Nick Saban, you didn't want to go back. Come on, yeah, blah, 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 whatever. But that's fine. Like we just talked up an old-fashioned shooting match. I tell you one thing, getting those recruits is one thing. Training them up and having them ready to play Alabama on October 8th, that's something else. Will you be that prepared? Because I guarantee you Bryce Young is going to be prepared, and Mr. Anderson is going to be prepared, and the Alabama crowd is going to be prepared. Man, it's what, May? Guys, you should have saved this for at least SEC Media Day, then we wouldn't have so far to wait to get this match. Now we're all hyped up, and we're going to be talking about this all summer long. But that's great. That's good. That's how we want it.
Absolutely. Appreciate my man Robert from Mobile getting started off there with that call. And I thought that Saban would wait to SEC Media Days too, but apparently it just kept bubbling over until he just wanted to drop the anchor on Wednesday. But we take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from?
Stephen, Bill from New York. Feeling good. I like this whole thing that happened. Here's what I want to say. If you go back to 2018 to 2021, Jimbo Fisher had five-star recruits total. Five five-star recruits. Now all of a sudden, this year, he had 7. Are you kidding me? No. Coach Saban was right. He was right on. I don't think he owes an apology to anybody. I'm guessing, because it's happened before, that he's apologizing because of what Terry told him to do. You know what I mean? Like, he's in control of the tide, but I don't know how much control he has in his house, which is cool. And I think he likes it that way, you know what I'm saying? But, like, apology, no freaking way. I don't think these guys deserve it. Dion, okay, you know, I always liked Dion. I liked when he talked about his personal life. He's a good guy. But, like, all of a sudden he's getting this guy pleased. We know what's going on. We know what's going on. And we know that we're the Crimson Tide. But I got to tell you, Steven, what made me the happiest is I was looking at quotes, like from his players defending him, Cam Robinson, you know, Reggie Ragland, Kyrie Jackson, all of these guys, they're talking about leave my coach alone. Ragland was talking about, I feel like strapping up and going down there. And these guys, and you know why? If you look at Cam Robinson and everything, Saban bailed him out. You know, he helped him out when he had a problem. Saban loves these kids. And he's not lying when he says, you know, he wants to help these kids make value for themselves on the field, off the field. He means it, you know, and it just makes me so proud to be an Alabama fan. We're so lucky to have him as a coach. What do you think? What do you think, Steve?
Absolutely, Bill. And just going back to your point about the players, so many former and current players went on social media in full defense of Nick Saban, and just to see that, because they know the effort that man puts in, not just to help them, but the entire college football in itself. When Saban speaks, it's not only calculated, but it's needed and it's important. Now, is he always right? That's debatable. Is he always accurate? That's debatable. But more times than not, when Saban says something, it's for a purpose, it's for meaning, and more times than not, he is correct on that. But appreciate my man Bill from New York for that call. We grab this call, hear you live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hi, this is Cici calling from Atlanta, Georgia. How are you?
Doing great, and you?
I'm doing good. I had to call in and share my opinion. It seems like everybody is sharing opinions, and they're kind of taking little snippets of what Coach Saban said and kind of like creating their own narrative. So I just wanted to weigh in. See, I'm a person about data and about facts. So I was thinking about this, and really when you look at how long Saban has been at Alabama, I think he got there in 2007. We had the #1 recruiting class 9 times since then. So you can check that on Rivals. We've had the #1 recruiting class 9 times. Georgia had it 3 times. I think USC had it twice. And lo and behold, Texas A&M out of nowhere got it once, which is this year. So as I was thinking about it, you know, 2007, we weren't that good. I think we went 7-6. And at that time, I think Les Miles was the head coach at LSU and Jimbo was the OC. Now, lo and behold, Jimbo leaves and he goes to Florida State and, you know, he acquires Jameis Winston. But that in itself was a little shaky because we had 4 national championships in the state of Alabama between 2009 and 2012. So my point is that typically the team that wins the national championship, they're usually the one to have either the top 1 or 2 recruiting classes. And with that being the case, you don't go 8-4. You know what I mean? You don't not go to the national championship game, but then you have all these, you know, top recruits. So I don't necessarily think that Coach Saban said anything wrong. And I think actually if you watch the entire video and listen to it in its context, then you'd understand that it's not about, you know, blaming Texas A&M or blaming the students. It's more so about, hey, we've seen this before, you know, because I think the situation, even at Florida State, that in itself is something. I mean, you have one of the top dual threat quarterbacks out of the state of Alabama, Bessemer, Alabama, and instead of going to Alabama or Auburn, who were the top schools at that time, he goes to Florida State when Jimbo Fisher is the head coach. And at that time, they didn't have a winning record. So it's just things like that where when you've seen it before, like you said, a hit dog hollers. And I think Emmanuel Acho said it best yesterday on Speak for Yourself, when he actually mentioned that you don't have a mediocre record, but you choose to go to that school instead of Alabama or Georgia, the defending national. That doesn't make sense. The math isn't mathing. So I just wanted to share my opinion because I'm seeing different things, and it seems like everyone's kind of pulling that one line regarding, you know, Texas A&M bought their players. But when you watch the video in its entirety, you'd understand that the math ain't math. It's not adding up. So roll tide. I'm looking forward to October 8th. They know what time it is. Only a hit dog hollers, and Jimbo know what it is. So I just wanted to share that. But what do you think about that?
First of all, I want to thank She for that call right there. She broke it down. She broke it down. And just my thoughts of it was, I understand people will say Coach Saban could have just told it to he could have went to these coaches in private, and I get that. But one thing you have to know about Coach Saban is if he sees an opportunity to make something known on a national spotlight and bring awareness to that, he's going to do this. He brought awareness to the split signing periods and recruiting, the early signing period now and the traditional signing period. He brought awareness to the transfer portal. He talked about it. If you make this about college football free agency, where players can come and go as they please, it's not going to be fair to everybody. And Saban gave several warnings about that. And look what's happened. And now he's doing the same thing with this current NIL model of it's not the best way. He's not saying don't pay the players. He's all for the players being compensated. He's just not for this NIL model where it just appears like money's being thrown around everywhere. So if you really dig into the fine nuggets of what he is saying, you learn the wisdom, you learn the gems there. But appreciate She there for that call. Outstanding call right there. We take this call. Here you're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's going on, Steven? This is Jared calling from Buffalo.
Jared, what's happening, man?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, Steven. I'm a little heated. You know, as a Buffalo native, when I went all the way to Niagara Falls, went to the Cave of the Mist, enjoyed the views, until I had these A&M fans literally walk up to me and says, "Listen, you got to tell your coach to keep my boy Jimbo out your mouth." And I had to look at these two, and I'm like, "Who are you talking to me?" But it's amazing. And again, it is what it is when it comes to, you know, Nick Saban and just, you know, his deals. Nick Saban warns college football. He warns the college football fan base every single year what is about to happen. He will literally tell you to your face that, listen, I'm warning you what's going to happen because sooner or later I'm going to adapt to this. And you don't want me to adapt to this because once I do, you're going to sit up there and you're going to complain about the way I do things. So I'm going to tell you how it is. And whether if you agree with Nick Saban about it or whether if you don't agree with Nick Saban about it, that's up to you. But don't get mad when it actually does happen, right? You just said it. The transfer portal, everyone complained and say, oh, well, Nick Saban doesn't care about the players. Nick Saban, he just doesn't care. What happens? Nick Saban adapts to the transfer portal, and all of a sudden we've had first-round picks coming out of the transfer portal better than what they were in the previous universities. The early signing period, adapting to the spread system. Nick Saban said, listen, I will do this. I'm not afraid of adapting to the spread system. Look what Alabama's had. They went from having a low-powered offense, a run-heavy scheme, to now having one of the best passing games in college football history. Nick Saban is the greatest coach in the history of college football. And one thing that Jimbo Fisher said in this statement saying that Nick Saban is not God, no, you're wrong, Jimbo Fisher. He is God. He is the God of college football. Everything about college football, about these assistant coaches, are spread all across the landscape. Some of the best coaches came from the Nick Saban tree, from the hierarchy himself. So no, Jimbo Fisher, you are wrong about that one, sir. But last point, and I'll get out of here. Listen, college football fans, you got to stop doing this, right? Now, again, whether if you think Nick Saban's out of pocket, it is what it is. We're all going to say our opinions about the matter. But one thing that you just can't sit up here and say that Nick Saban is a loser. Nick Saban is a loser. He's a person that can't adapt. He's a person that is pretty much just yapping his mouth because he can't beat Jimbo Fisher out of recruiting. Yeah, you're right. He can't beat Nick Saban. Nick Saban can't beat Jimbo Fisher out of recruiting. Alabama had probably one of the worst teams in the Nick Saban era, and it was still good enough to go on that to a national championship. Their down year in recruiting is number 2. Yeah, Alabama is losing. They can't adapt. We got to stop with this, with these college football fans that say the same thing over and over again, because Nick Saban will prove them wrong. And by the time we revisit this conversation the following year, we will sit up here once again and say Nick Saban is right. But Alabama Nation, enjoy yourselves. Have a good night, Steven. Have a good night, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Jared from Buffalo coming in, all gas, no brakes, the smoke coming off my man Jared right there. Appreciate that call. We take this call. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from?
What's up, Steve? My name is Jason from Valley, Alabama. How you doing?
How we doing, man?
Doing well. Hey, bud, I just want to say, I'm sure it's been touched on a lot, but we have to kind of look at number one, the crowd that Nick Saban was speaking to were either donors or a bunch of potential donors, and he does this every year. Every year when the season's over, there's always a big issue or a rule change or something that coaches get behind, and Saban uses his position to try to get things changed. And it looks like, and it sounds like he's saying that the NCAA doesn't have the power to enforce the rules that are already in place. They don't, because they're scared of litigation, and so they can't go to these schools and say what you did is breaking the rules, because they just don't have the power anymore to do so. So he's telling these boosters that, like, we can't continue like we're doing right now. We're going to have to change what we're doing. We're going to have to do things a different way. And he was using that opportunity to say and do that. But the one thing that I think is going to change everything, and I think this is the thing that nobody's speaking on, but a lot of people are worried about, is if these guys are getting money in a way that's a loophole, these guys aren't under contract. So they can get this money and then next year transfer to Alabama. What's he going to do? What's Jimbo going to do when a player decides he's going to come there and next year transfer to Alabama, and now he's got all the money? You can't go after that money. You can't not pay him. And so it's just going to open up, I think a lot of this stuff is either they're going to have to make some changes or it's just going to end up in court. There's going to be a lot of different things that people are fighting over, I think.
Too, and that's the reason why so many of these coaches have been asking for regulation of NIL. So many coaches have been asking for an oversight of this whole ordeal. Now, what does that look like remains to be seen, because we have not seen it yet, but there's a reason why people have been calling this climate of name, image, and likeness as the Wild West, because it's giving boosters, it's giving third-party collectors a chance to, let's see, how can we work our way around here to offer or entice the most athletes, whether it's athletes currently in the program or high school athletes, to come to the program. It's like an auction almost. It's like $25 here, $25 here, $25, $25, $50 here, $50 here, $75, sold to the highest bidder. And it was never meant to be an auction, but this is what it's looking like here, this current NIL climate, and that's what Coach Saban has not been pleased about. But appreciate the call so far. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's going on, Steven? It's Tobias out in Fresno. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, my man. What's going on with you?
Oh, nothing, man. Just enjoying that it's Friday. God is good. Just really tripping off of this. I guess it's a feud. I don't really see what the big deal was. I agree with a lot of what the other caller said, but one of the things that I came away with is I feel bad for this Jimbo Fisher, man. From the standpoint of I've always seen him as, a decent coach, but the way he was taking shots like that, I kind of feel like it was a little bit unnecessary. I know he's trying to act like his integrity was swiped at, and I don't see why they were mad. I mean, it's okay to say, yeah, we did because it's legal. Yes, we offered deals, our boosters. I mean, he said Texas A&M. He didn't say Jimbo Fisher was crooked. He said Texas A&M, just like Alabama. I mean, listen, we can act like everything is always above board. I wondered how, Tua's whole family was living in Tuscaloosa. I mean, listen, I don't know. I guess everything can be above board, but this was not above board. You have NIL, and if Texas A&M said we want to get ahead of it, and we got donors that can drop whatever the amount was and sign them up for that, applause to them. In terms of this whole number one class, I mean, when you look at the rating, though, Alabama still has the number one class in terms of the rated athletes in the composite. So you're comparing almost nothing. I know people get caught up in ranking number one, number two. That system is about to be plummeted because now with transfers, some great athletes like a Josh Jacobs, almost happened to him, are going to go to lower tier schools and work their way up. And in their senior years, they're going to transfer to an Alabama or a higher tier school. And so the way we look at rankings even have to change. But I felt not so good about Jimbo, just the way he was going on and on, like Street Fighter, WWE dude. I was like, why are you talking like that? It's just not. It's not becoming to you. I didn't like that, man. Also, he was like, I forget this phrase saying they have, like, carrying the briefcase of evidence. He's keep talking about you check his past, you check his past. You're in his past. Like, y'all got LSU together. So if you have something to put on the table, just say, listen, this cat, when we was at LSU, we would go into house. Just go and say it then. But don't be talking all big and bad. And I don't even understand what the press conference was about. In terms of the kid from the HBCU, the $1 million, my understanding is that wasn't true. But I think people are missing the point. Whether it's true or not, it's not a slight. I think that's an old mindset, seeing it as a slight. It's not. We are in NIL right now. And all of these people who's griping about NIL were all on board with it without any restriction. And as an ex-student athlete, I was on board, but I was like, but it has to truly be name, image, and likeness. Because when I was playing ball, I didn't get any money for them selling my jersey. But that jersey sale, the school also got to get some money because I wouldn't even be in that place if it wasn't for the school. So it's not like I had a name by itself, So anyway, with all of that said, Stephen, I'm glad Nick Saban brought it up. I'm glad he went ahead and said it. I know people are saying he could have not said to school, but I mean, he's talking to his donors or people that he wants to be donors. And for me, I saw it as Nick Saban basically telling them straight up, listen, y'all tripping over that number 2 ranking? Well, guess what y'all going to have to do? You're going to have to pony it up if this is the way the war is going to be fought. And I hear some people saying, well, Nick Saban will figure out a way to get around, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? You don't have Texas money. But the good thing about Alabama is not just Alabama money. Alabama is worldwide. There are people all over the world that love Alabama football who will sponsor, give money to have the best number 1 class. So with that said, I hope all of this works out at these media days. I'm hoping Saban don't get attacked at the media days because this dude is talking like he need like some psychiatric care or something, like he need therapy, like he need a counselor. I'll counsel him. He come here, pay me some of that money he got. I'll give him some pastoral counseling or something like that. This man is talking crazy, Steve. So with that said, man, listen, love y'all. When I drop off, of course, I always drop something in the chat. Everyone else, please donate to the show if you love the show. Steve is doing a great job in the team. Roll Tide.
Appreciate my man Tobias from Fresno calling in, giving his thoughts here on a Friday, the Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, NIL craziness that's been going on the last couple of days. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, how you doing, man? My name is John King, and I'm calling from Los Angeles.
John, what's happening, man?
What's going on, brother? I'm actually originally from Alabama, Mobile, so, yeah, roll tide. So, yeah, I just wanted to say and comment on it, man. You know what people all upset with Saban, what the deal is, yeah, the NIL is a good thing, but it needs to have structure, because if not, it's just going to turn back into the days when whoever had the most boosters, you know, just win. It's like buying a championship, and people don't realize that. So, you know, and then when you single out and get one, you know, these players, and there's so much, you know, disparity between what they're getting and you using that as a recruiting tool, that changes the game a little when you use it like that. It just makes it more ratchet, like, oh, you know what I'm saying? You know, a lot of good players will be like, yo, I'm just gonna go here, man, because they offer me the most money, and it kind of takes away something from the game from young players. And I think they all should be getting paid something for their likeness and image, but now the way it's structured now, man, it's just a little too bad right now, because it's just going to make other teams, the teams with money in Texas and stuff like that. But what's happening is Alabama been dominating so long. The real Stephen Smith, my brother. Anyway, it's my first time calling in, but they've been dominating so long. Teams like, oh, they gonna figure something out, and that's how dominant Alabama has been. Even on the times we don't win, we still dominant in the season. So it's like people are trying to figure things out. How can they get an edge on Alabama? And if that's the way, then I guess that's the way for them to even be able to compete. So everybody shouldn't get mad, man, because if we go this way like Texas A&M did it, dog, you can forget it. They might as well just start letting kids go from high school to the pros then, if they're going to do it like that, because the education thing starts becoming like, it don't even matter what the education is. It's all about the money. So, you know, these kids are still young. Their mind ain't even all the way developed. And, you know, so I think it needs to come to something. But nobody don't need to be mad at Nick, man. And Jimbo just a little salty. He's just a little salty, you know, or what happened, you know what I'm saying? But, no, yeah, maybe Saban, you know, I guess he called out the schools, but he's mentioned the schools, but he's not really talking about them. He's talking about NIL. When he's saying that, he's dissing how they're doing it. He's not dissing Jumbo. He's not dissing Dion. He's just saying how NIL to let stuff happen. They need to regulate it. You know what I'm saying?
Good point right there. Good point right there. Good point. Appreciate my man John from Los Angeles for that call. Good point right there. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
This is Jay from Sheffield, Steve. What's up,
Jay? What's going on, man?
Making it, man. Man, I done called in. I got my homeboy with me, man. This is my best friend for like 20 years, right? We both Bama fans. He like, what's wrong with you, man? Why you looking at your phone like, man? I'm trying to listen to the In My Own Words show, but you won't shut the blank up. Huh, Steve?
I hear you, man. I hear you.
Man, why is everybody worried about this NIL? We need to be worried about Bryce Young and him moving efficiently in that pocket a little bit better, like Mac Jones used to do, you know, just a little bit to the left. And bombing that baby. He could be way better with his D-ball. And we all know that because the stats say that. So, you know what I'm saying? I think that's what us as Bama fans need to go focus back in, because at the end of the day, we ain't getting paid unless, you know what I'm saying, we betting on the game or something. So all that NIL, man, listen, man. Is you winning? Is you coming to Bama to win? That's all we need to know. If you ain't coming here to win, all right, man, get gone. You know, bye, Javon Baker. You know, we'll holler at you. We'll beat you later on, but you know. No, the name of this season should be No Excuses from the Coordinator, Steve. Right?
Right.
Okay. I had to just, make sure that we were still all on the same page, because all this drama going down, No excuses from the coordinators, Bama fans. We let Pete Golden off the hook for the last 5 years. Our linebackers and this and that. You know, you still got Alabama quality players, but I guess people forgot that. But and then now we got Bill O'Brien, and y'all just satisfied with this man scoring 3-4 less touchdowns than we did the year before. But I guess we're gonna make that up too. But you know, Steve, I love y'all. Roll Tide, and no excuses from the coordinator.
There's the man Jay from Sheffield getting it down right there. No excuses for the coordinators, trying to keep everything centered here on this Alabama team. Gosh, shout out my man Tobias Brookins from Fresno, West Coast in here with that $50 donation in the Super Chats. Appreciate him and all of you guys calling, texting, donating, having all of this dialogue on the show on a Friday. Absolutely love it. Got a quick topic right here. This goes to Anaya Smith, wide receiver for Texas A&M, in which this young man is saying how the Aggies are taking this one personal on October 8th against Alabama. He's saying, Aggie Nation, pack out the whole stadium. Pack out Bryant-Denny in support of Texas A&M against the Crimson Tide. Now, I'll say this. I think it'll be a sellout crowd. But I think it'll be more Alabama than Texas A&M in there. Because Alabama's already coming in the matchup with the revenge factor of losing by 3 a season ago, Kyle Field, College Station, Texas, and wanting that get back. And now with Jimbo Fisher and his comments toward Coach Saban on yesterday, got a lot of Alabama players saying, all right, Coach, we got your back. We strapping up. October 8th, we ready for him. I just want to know, John, who will be the DJ dropping the music on October 8th? That's going to be my biggest question. Who is going to be the DJ dropping them hits inside the stadium to get this thing ready to be popped off? That's my thing right there. But we're gonna actually go to a break right here, folks. When we get back, we will sit down with my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, to talk to him about, did the Saban-Fisher scuffle, what is it going to do in recruiting, or does it mean nothing at all in recruiting? We'll talk to Justin after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, folks, we're back into the action from the break on a Friday TGIF edition of the show. Number one forum for Bama football news. We're going to go right to the M-Mon Awards hotline. We pick up the heavy hitter on the ground in recruiting. Nobody is covering these young athletes quite like our own Justin Smith of TDA. Justin, man, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, Steven.
We got Justin right here on the show talking some Bama football recruiting. So, my man, of course, you and I both got a chance to look at the last 2 days and how crazy it's been with Coach Saban making his comments on Wednesday in Birmingham, Jimbo Fisher's insane press conference the following day on Thursday. But when it comes down to recruiting, Justin, did the scuffle or the conversation or the dialogue or whatever you want to call it, does this affect anything in recruiting from your perspective?
I think it definitely will have an impact. I don't think a direct impact in terms of a guy choosing Texas A&M over Alabama because of what Nick Saban said, or choosing Jackson State over Alabama because of what Saban said. I don't think it has direct impact, but I do think it has an impact on recruiting in terms of the recruits. I know NIL is still a new thing to everybody. It's not only new to the fans, the coaches, and Nick Saban, of course, wants it to be a little bit more restricted in terms of it being sort of under control. So it's new to everybody, including the recruits and their families. And from what I have gathered from recruits and a couple of families I've talked to, is that they are going to definitely be more attentive and more knowledgeable about the NIL situation, because they, of course, you have to be somewhat selfish in terms of your recruitment and wanting to go to a place, of course, that you feel comfortable at. But if those type of deals are available to use your name, image, and likeness, you want to be in the best decision to make an impact and hopefully benefit from it. So I definitely feel that recruits and their families are going to definitely continue to be more attentive towards it. In terms of possibly a direct impact, Alabama, Texas A&M, they not only battled it out on the football field, they battled it out on the recruiting trail for some of the top recruits, which is one of the reasons why Nick Saban could have been sort of upset with how the last recruiting cycle went. Of course, some of those guys who went to Texas A&M, the Crimson Tide were pushing for some of those guys. I'm pretty sure they would have wanted a couple of those guys in their 2022 recruiting class as well. But taking a look at this 2023 recruiting cycle, there are a lot of guys who both teams want, and I'm pretty sure they're going to take that energy and definitely put it there to get those guys onto their particular schools. I'm just taking a look inside the state of Alabama. We know how loaded it is. I'm just taking a look at some of the guys on top of my head who both teams are going after. You have 5-star defensive back Tony Mitchell, who really likes the Todd. He really likes the Aggies. You also have Corey Rusaw, a 4-star linebacker out of Carver, Montgomery. You also have James Smith, who's involved with the Texas A&M Aggies and the Crimson Tide as well. So I'm pretty sure both programs are going to take that energy, take the NIL collective energy as well into all of those recruitments in the future and try to pull out recruits over one another. So I don't think it has a direct impact in terms of how the feud and saying that I don't like what Nick Saban said. I'm going to go to Jimbo Fisher. I don't think we're going to see a lot of that, but I think it's just going to bring more attention. It has brought more attention to NIL and the fact that recruits and their parents are going to want to be more attentive of it and want to continue to put themselves in the best decision.
If you're just checking out the show here on a Friday, we got the man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine, here on a Friday in my own words. So, Justin, you brought up Tony Mitchell, 5-star defensive back, in-state talent, plays high school ball, Thompson High School in Alabaster in the Birmingham area. With Alabama and A&M both high on Mitchell, does he become, in your mind, one of the most, if not the most sought-after recruit in this class when you look at both schools?
We take a look at both programs in terms of both of those schools and battling it out. Yeah, he's definitely a huge target for both schools. I guess you can't make the argument that he is the top target among them, but James Smith and Quay Rusaw are pretty good as well out of Carver, Montgomery. But Tony, he really likes Texas A&M. I had an opportunity to interview him a couple of weeks ago when Thompson had spring practice. He said it felt good to get down to College Station. He definitely can see himself playing there and with the whole NIL thing going on. I'm pretty sure he's looking into that as well. But he also told me that Alabama feels like a second home to him. He has held an Alabama offer since like the 9th grade, so definitely building a relationship with him for a long time. So he's definitely going to be one of the top targets to pay attention to. Quay Rusaw and James Smith also have been down to College Station. They're in constant contact with Texas A&M staff. So those are three guys I would definitely pay attention to, but you can make the argument that Tony Mitchell is a top target among those groups.
Justin, as we look at now, just the fact that what can, or as we continue to move forward, what do you think a lot of these parents and these athletes hope to gain and continuing to learn about, NIL? Moving forward, what becomes the mindset of parents and what becomes the mindset of these student athletes with NIL and play as you take visits to schools, as you break down a top 5, as you talk to these different coaches? What now becomes the mindset of the parents and the athletes?
I think that definitely something they have to take into consideration. I still feel that there is a lot unknown that everybody does not know in terms of what the possible restrictions will be in terms of programs having different NIL programs, including the program like Alabama did recently, adding one. I think it'd just be interesting to watch all of this play out. I can't be 100% sure on how it will play out, but I just know parents will definitely be asking those questions to particular programs. If I had to say something right now, I think that is something to at least bring to the table when you're talking to these coaches, when these coaches are coming into your home, when you're visiting their campuses and going into their office. I think that's just another topic that you're going to have to talk about and see what they can offer you in terms of possibly helping you connect with companies to do NIL. So I think that is just something parents and recruits are going to now bring to the table.
He is Justin Smith, people, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, coming on here on a Friday to give us the lowdown here on the whole thing between Saban and Jimbo Fisher. How much is going to really impact recruiting moving forward where this NIL is concerned? And Justin, as always, man, we appreciate the insight, man. Take care of yourself, brother. Enjoy your Friday. Be good.
You do the same, sir.
Always fun getting that conversation in with Justin on the recruiting front. We're going to go to a break right now, folks. When we get back, we return on the phone lines. We grab your calls. We grab your thoughts. We grab your opinions. Bring them on in here as we return to In My Own Words.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to WhitwellSports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month or pay $74.95 for a full-year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, people, we're back into the action from the break. Hottest show on the streets, talking your Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate all of you, the fans, all the donations, all the calls, all the chats, all the dialogue, every single conversation. You guys have lit us up here on a Friday. We definitely appreciate that. It was fun getting a chance to talk to my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA in the previous segment. And big ups to Alabama softball. The ladies and Patrick Murphy getting that win to open the regionals 3-0. The Tuscaloosa regionals beating Chattanooga. Hopefully Alabama can get this win over Stanford and the other programs that's facing here in this regional, because to me, I want Team 26 to get to the Super Regionals, Women's College World Series, try to push for that national championship, because as intense as football is in the fall in college sports, you'd be hard-pressed to find a sport that much more intense when you look at between the months of May and July, quite like softball. Softball gets intense in those few months right there. But 205-448-1358. The number to call in to let your voice be heard. Phone lines open. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Ridge Gang. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. And there's just so many Bama players this offseason that have been working out, preparing to ball here in the upcoming campaign. Before we even talk about one, Trayshawn Holden, just several guys this offseason, whether it's Malachi Moore working out, whether it's Brian Branch working out, whether it's Kyrie Jackson working out, whether it's Jace McClellan working out, whether it's Tim Keenan III working out, Quandarius Robinson working out, just several guys understanding the importance of this year and this season in the fall, where the goal is winning a national championship. You came up just short to Georgia a season ago, but so many veterans back, young talent, guys already, even freshman guys like Earl Little Jr., before he even arrives on campus, is out here putting work in, getting himself in order. And now we got a second video from Trayshawn Holden. Trayshawn trying to pop y'all. We got our second video from Trayshawn Holden going through the footwork, getting in and out of the break, distributing his weight properly as he makes his cuts in and out of the break, catching the football, running routes like Trayshawn want to pop. Will he be able to do that this season in a big way? Had a good year, decent year, 2021, but will he be able to pop in a big way the way he would like to this season? We'll see, but he's putting the work in. He's putting the effort in this offseason prior to summer camp. Summer workouts kicking up here really, really soon there. So big ups there to one, Trayshawn Holden, getting that work in. We're going to actually take our final break here, folks, right now. When we get back, we dive into the overlooked part of the commotion that's happened in the last couple of days, and that being Jordan Addison, the transfer receiver, Biletnikoff Award winner from Pittsburgh, has made his transfer decision. We'll talk about that after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, people, we're back in the mix right here on a Friday TGIF edition of the show. Appreciate you guys checking us out on today. My man John Ivory in the production studio doing his thing. And before we get into the final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. So right now, if you're trying to get that swag, the sauce, drip, clothing, cultural, fashion needs, you check us out right now, TDAwear.com. Link in the description. TDAwear.com. We got you covered right there. Start setting yourself up. Summer workouts, fall camp, regular season in the fall, getting you that gear, supporting your favorite football program. Check it out right there, TDAwear.com. Show that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, for student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But of all the commotion of Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, and NIL, what was lost completely in the shuffle the last 2 days was Jordan Addison, a transfer receiver from Pittsburgh, Biletnikoff Award winner has made his transfer decision, transfer destination, and Bama misses out on the Addison sweepstakes because the young man chose USC. He chose Southern California as his transfer home. And I mentioned to you guys on Wednesday that it had came down to USC and Texas, and barring some crazy NIL collective deal for USC, he would end up choosing Texas. Well, USC, I guess, got their deal in order because Jordan Addison will be enrolling with the Trojans. A season ago, 100 catches for 1,593 yards, 18 total touchdowns, 17 touchdown catches. And, for me, it would have been a cool flex for Alabama to have a Biletnikoff Award winner on the roster. It would have been a cool flex to say that, the Crimson Tide would have that at its disposal. But at the same time, it's not a detriment just because of the fact that Alabama's got 50 million receivers on the roster as it is, and all of these guys are trying to pop here at the same time. And I think with the weapons that Bryce Young has at his disposal, I still think he puts himself in the best possible case to go back-to-back Heisman Trophy, doing that for the first time in college football since Archie Griffin did it at Ohio State as a running back in 1974 and 1975. You think of 12 guys Alabama's got on this roster at wide receiver with Jermaine Burton, Tyler Harrell, Christian Leary, JoJo Earl, Trayshawn Holden, Ja'Cory Brooks, Isaiah Bond, Kobe Prentice, Shaz Preston, Kendrick Law, Aaron Anderson, Tye Jones-Bell, all of their names on the screen. And with all of these dudes, Alabama's going to be just fine at wide receiver. You got tight ends, Cameron Latu, Amari Black, Danny Lewis Jr., Robbie Oots, Miles Kitselman. You got running backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield. So as cool of a flex it would have been to get a Jordan Addison, it's not anything to Justin Timberlake cry me a river about. I mean, Alabama's got the receivers on the roster that it needs to make waves, make plays, and have success here in the upcoming season. But the thing that got lost in the shuffle, people, Jordan Addison made that transfer decision. USC became the place for him. But as always, folks, you want the news, notes, information, entertainment coverage on your Bama football program. You check us out right here by accessing the Touchdown Alabama magazine app. Get that app today. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. For your audio needs, check us out, iTunes or Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back, trying to be back, on Monday, continuing the conversation that is Bama football. Remember, Tide fans, you can do this. You can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. Also, if you're trying to get your hands on the fresh edition, print edition of TDA, the magazine, you can do this by going to touchdownalabama.com. You click join, become a member or a subscriber today. That link in the description as well. Also, if you are trying to get your hands on the four-finger bling necklace, four-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com, that link in the description as well. Appreciate my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine, coming on today. If you have not checked out his show, you got to check out The Process every Tuesday and Thursday right here on our YouTube channel. Justin doing an incredible job. Also, check out my man Patrick P. Money Dowd, breaking news reporter for TDA. He's got the Pat Reacts videos on our YouTube channel. My man Pat breaking on out there in there. So check out the man Patrick Dowd, and all the content and the conversation going on at Touchdown Alabama magazine here on YouTube. Special shout out to my man John Ivory. He tries his best to keep me in line, even though I sometimes am all over the map. But till next time, folks, husbands, love your wives, Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, weekend is here, but you guys continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing to not be bored. Be sure to get yourself those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself. You protect the loved ones around you. Until Monday, folks, enjoy your weekend. I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. You've been listening to In My Own Words.